It's a world epidemic, and it's something that everybody should be concerned of, whether they're homosexual or whether they're heterosexual.
People are saying that it's a drug addict's disease, it's a homosexual male disease, and in fact that's not true. And I think that everybody needs a lot of information.
Because this is now is an incurable disease, so I guess, you know, most of the Hong Kong people should know about that. Not only gays, I think most of the Hong Kong people should know about that.
And I myself will be happy to answer questions from the floor. Now, as mentioned by...
A press conference was called by the Medical and Health Services on the 21st of last month. This was to launch the government's AIDS information campaign.
So during this 7-year period...
It consists of posters, leaflets, and announcements over radio and TV. There's also a 12-hour telephone counseling service and a 24-hour telephone information service. What is the objective of the campaign?
Firstly, we have to educate the public so that they are aware that AIDS is a killer disease, and well, at the present moment there's no cure, and the effective way is to really change the sexual behavior, adopt safe sexual practice. And the second objective is to really direct our message towards the high-risk groups, because they need counseling and they need advice. And we have made arrangements for the campaign to be directed especially to help them. There are 3 main target groups of our campaign. Firstly, of course, members of the general public. We would like to make them aware of the importance of AIDS, how AIDS is transmitted, and how one can avoid the infection. Now, the second target group is the high-risk groups. Now, this includes homosexuals, heterosexuals, and for instance, people who use intravenous drugs and share needles, and also people who are hemophilics. Now, the third target group is what we call the intermediate group. Now, these are, for instance, doctors, nurses, teachers, social workers. Now, they can help us in propagating the message, the correct understanding about AIDS. So our campaign is directed largely towards these 3 groups of people.
And is the message getting through to the public? To find out, we took our camera crew to Central. We asked some of the people who passed us what they thought of the government's campaign.
The government just started running a TV campaign and a poster campaign, and also I did read the newspaper, and the newspaper ad has been very informative. They have all the questions and answers, so I think it's very helpful to educate people to know more about the disease.
Made me aware of how this disease is contracted, because in the past they used to say that it came from Africa, but from you know, recent discussions and so on, we find that it's not from Africa, but it's just all over the world.
And one gentleman even claimed it changed his lifestyle.
Well, I practice safe sex all the time now.
As one of the high-risk groups, homosexuals have been particularly interested in the government's AIDS campaign. 4 nights ago, on the invitation of reporter Susan Lim, 3 self-confessed gays came to TVB to talk about their impressions of the government's campaign. From left to right, there was Tim, Ashley, and Sebastian. To protect their identities, they're using fictitious names. They're also keeping their backs to the camera. The group later included Lawrence on the right. He too is using a fictitious name. What's their impressions of the government's campaign? First, Lawrence.
It's great. At least they're telling this disease does not belong to the homosexual. This is the main point, I think. Because in the little book they printed out, there's only the jingle. They only say is don't play sex with too many people, so just go easily with people, otherwise you get AIDS. This is what the government said. So I think they are trying to tell the public AIDS is not belongs to gays.
I think it's effective in the sense of conveying to the public that it's a disease of concern to the general populations rather than to a segment of the population.
While Tim and Lawrence spoke favorably of the campaign, Ashley thought differently.
I guess most of the people in society are still left in the dark by the government campaign about AIDS, because when I talk with my colleagues and they don't know much about the way to contract the disease, so all they know is you may get disease by mosquito bite or things like that. And they're all really uneducated about the problem, about the subject.
The government's campaign is...
Others, too, have found the campaign inadequate.
I'm not aware of it, and I think people should be made aware of it.
Because there's much more of a campaign in America, in the Bay Area at least, and so it seems watered down by comparison.
What does the head of the AIDS Publicity Committee say about such criticism?
Our objective is to really educate the public so that they become aware of AIDS, and then they will come forward to seek for information. If we introduce a kind of a scare tactic, now this may have opposite effect, may be counterproductive. Now, of course, our campaign is not a campaign once and for all. In fact, it is an ongoing educational campaign. We are watching the response, and we are monitoring the progress. And in fact, before we launch this big-scale campaign, we have started a pre-campaign survey to find out the response of the individuals, how much do they understand or know about AIDS, and then where they get the information, and what information they would like to have more. And afterwards, in about latter part of May, we'll be conducting another post-campaign survey and to see now whether or not people are more aware of AIDS.
Well, what did your pre-campaign survey find out about what people knew and what they wanted to know?
Well, we have just conducted a pre-campaign survey, and our results are still not yet analyzed. So I think about end of this month, probably, then we will have the results of the pre-campaign survey.
Wasn't it a little bit difficult then to start this campaign when you haven't completed the analysis of your pre-campaign survey?
No, because the objective is the same, is to get people become aware of the disease, and then encourage them to come forward to seek information. Well, the pre-campaign survey is only to help us as a guide. Now, in what areas we can divert our efforts, and in what areas we can pay special attention. It is a kind of complementary information, but even without this, the pre-campaign survey result, we have already worked out our strategy, because we have a committee on education and publicity composed of various